Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up, I made a presentation and I just wanted to kind of take you through some of the work that I made this year. This last year, I have to say, was really spectacular. I felt like I had the opportunities to make some work that kind of took me in a different direction. And towards the end of the year, I kind of expended my grant a little bit early, just because the goals for myself, for people that might not be familiar with my work, a lot of my work centers around text and language or representations of language. And I kind of try to mix all those things up. And a lot of the work that I do usually is a contemplation about an issue. So I'll just kind of take you through some of the work that I did. But the goals that I had for me with this fellowship, since I had some resources, was to kind of buy more material, and I wanted to make work that was more dense than I had made before, like heavier, kind of more just that it had a more heavier feel to it. And then I also wanted to incorporate color and pattern. And I've kind of started off with this piece right here. It's titled Fruitless. And at the time I was thinking about the Ukraine-Russia conflict. And if you notice, like it says glory, the background really got hidden in the making of the work. But it was like, I wanted to use the blue and the gold as kind of like the Ukrainian flag. And it just, the idea of war just seems just utterly tragic. And that notion of glory, I don't know, there just seemed, like that conflict just seems so overwhelming. And it's, and one of the things that I did in the piece is I wanted to kind of make the text so it was coming out of the background, and so that it looked like it had topography. And I tried to incorporate some video so you could kind of see the movement of the work.
That is so cool.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So like a lot of the work that I make, I really strive to make it so that fundamentally it's really different to see it in person than seeing images of the work, because there's sometimes an optical illusion that can happen with the work. And in this piece right here, instead of making an outline of the text, what I wanted to do was to make the text have more density. And this one says gaslight. And one of the things that I was pondering was just this bifurcation that we have with the notion of facts and, like different echo chambers of media, and, just the repetition of a narrative, how it can kind of trick us into thinking something, or put us at polar opposites with someone in some way. And so looking at the work, there's the pattern is of a target. So like there's circular pattern that goes out throughout the piece. It's easier to see in person than it is in images, because the red is slightly shorter than the copper colored ends. And I think this is the video. So you can kind of see how it moves. So oftentimes when I'm showing these pieces, I will try to kind of have something in the room that has an air current, so that the work has movement to it. And the reason I really like movement in the work is I like the idea of, like a force acting on it, and that it recoalesces into something else. This piece is titled Tango. And I was thinking about the word trick, and also how to kind of make the appearance of the text kind of come in and out of focus. So it says trick twice, once in pink and one in green, and the green slants, so it has like a zigzag to it, so it bisects the other text, so it kind of fades in and out. And here, we'll get this to move. It's a little bit more abstract, because the text isn't as readily, you don't see it right away, so it sort of appears the more you look at it. And I just like that idea of this dance between these two things happening. Now, one of the things that I feel like I want to explain a little bit is this form at the top. I use that as a reference to like speech bubbles, thought bubbles, or like text messages, and they tilt off the wall so that the ball chain can hang and have some dimension to it. So this one right here was, I was thinking about this piece after the, not all of these are in order, but I was thinking about the Dobbs decision coming down from the Supreme Court. And I know that that's a pretty controversial issue with women's health care, but I felt pretty strongly about it as a, like the removal of rights. And since the decisions that have come out of the Supreme Court, I've found questionable. So I was just thinking about this idea of saying no and or dissenting. And here I was kind of playing with pattern and color even more, trying to push that a little bit. And again, trying to play with different lengths. And if you were to look at it, here we can kind of see how the movement that happens here. And I felt like the work had taken kind of a dark turn for a long time. And I just was wondering about, I wanted to make something that just felt like it was positive, just an exclamation that felt good, and I'm really, like when something is amazing and you have that like, yes, feeling that it's so temporary, like something that's kind of a positive shock, it kind of dissipates really quickly. And I wanted to kind of capture that moment. And I really like the idea of the text coming through the other one. And so the title of the piece is Delight. And here, I'll try to get this so we can look at a video of it. I think. Here we go. The one thing that was kind of intense about this year is I teach at MSUM, and I teach sculpture, and I was teaching some new classes that I had never taught before. So juggling time was really, it got kind of tricky at times, but I felt like I was really able to try to maximize as much studio time as I could with the free time that I had. This was probably, it was a more complex piece for me to make, it less dense, but one of the things that happens here is I had text and it says again and again and again, and it's an ampersand between the agains. And this piece is difficult to see because it's difficult to move around it, but when you move around it, you can see the ampersand sort of appear through the kind of the screen of the other text. And it's a really quite a long piece. And the title of it is Meanwhile. And I was thinking about all the mass shootings that had happened. And in the time that it took to make this piece, there were over 91 mass shootings from when I started the work to when I finished the work, which is just quite astounding to me, like just the massive amount of gun violence that's happening. So, this one I kind of move a little bit more gently because the weight of it is so tall, and sorry about that, but it's pretty heavy, like it's about it's 54 inches long from top to bottom. Okay, so one of the things that I did want to share with you, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the grant, but it was all the work that led up from the grant was shown to a person that works for Nordstrom's, and he, based on the work, hired me to do an installation with a really good friend of mine, Amanda Browder, and we did a collaboration. Nordstrom's does this event for Pride, and it's located on 58th and Broadway, right downtown Manhattan. And so Amanda and I decided to base the project on an old project that I had done based around the bandana code and queer culture. And so what we decided to do, it involved us doing public sewing days. So we were sewing in the store and talking about the project and kind of interacting with the public. And then we were also working in her studio, printing these really large bandanas, like these are 60 by 60 inches. And we had done the design work ahead of time. And then when I got there, we were working just nonstop for about 16 days. Like we were putting in like 14-hour days. We printed 52 large scale bandanas, and then we probably did about 120 smaller ones. So these are kind of like the ones that were printed that we had hung to dry after they had done the initial thing. And then this was the installation at the store when we were doing the last column. And so we were tying 2 bandanas together on either side of these columns. And so there really got to be a lot of them when we got done with the 3 columns. And they were really quite happy with this, because the goal for us was to do something outside of the rainbow, you know. And one of the things about the bandana code, if you're not familiar with it, is that it was a way of communicating desire and sexual fetish before kind of like the emergence of more sophisticated language around queer culture, you know, like when we've evolved into marriage equality and inheritance and medical decisions. And so it's kind of a benchmark. I guess I kind of wanted to make a benchmark and also do something that was a little bit subversive in a time that seems to be pretty hostile right now politically. And so this was the final installation. So that was the work that I produced this year. And I would like to thank the board so much for the opportunity. I felt like I have so much gratitude about it, and being able to kind of make work and explore opportunities was just, it was really great. I cannot tell you how thankful I am. So.